What's something you're good at but don't get to brag about much? I'm an awesome vet tech. I can do all things vet tech very well. Doctors begged to work with me. I survived burnout and came back stronger. Edit. Yeah, all's positive responses and appreciation have made my whole year. I can't say thank you enough for being so supportive and kind. Very true, and thank you. We get paid crap, but we're actually like 10 plus specially trained nurses all rolled into one. I can go from outpatient to ICU to lab diagnostics to pharmacy to surgery and anesthesia to dental cleanings to radiographs to emergencies to euthanasias, etc. all in one shift. The other weekend a tech didn't show. Another started vomiting, so we told her to leave. Normally we have 4 techs scheduled and that's short-staffed honestly. That day I ended up being the only tech. I did have a tech assistant but skill set very limited. For 3 doctors with full schedules, 6 work-ins, 3 run-backs. Just at that time, more kept coming. Luckily that only lasted 2 hours before another tech came in, but we were still short-staffed. I literally ran between tasks that whole day. My legs ached bad that night. I am consistently one of the 2 top loaders in the warehouse I currently work at. I would also scan 10% of the daily volume at the last place I worked, and also won Employee of the Month in the first month of the first facility I worked for. I like boxes. Same, and for whatever reason, strangers know. I get tasked for directions a lot, including while on vacation in places I've never visited before. I'm the same way, and if I get disoriented I kinda have a miniature panic attack until I find north again. I can't explain why it makes me so uncomfortable, but it does. Saved an old lady's life who was standing at the train tracks paralyzed like a deer in headlights. Threw my bag off, ran across the bridge and pulled her off. Felt pretty good that entire week and my friends were super proud of me, even though a few family members, whom I later narrated the incident to, felt I risked my life for it. Can promise this could never comes up in conversations lol. Bit of a long story. Was super fat in high school, like 500 pounds of lard. Got into walking as a way of avoiding assholes at school. The vice principal gave me a permanent free pot to Q2SQS to leave the school and go for walks instead of engaging with bullies and causing property damage. He knew I never started fights but I finished them. He knew people just went after me because they thought I'd cactus an easy target. I just picked them up and beat them against the walls, desks, and other surfaces. Later on, when the first Avengers movie came out, so many people I went to school with sent me this gift saying this reminds me of that one time so-and-so picked a fight with you. So one day got in a huge fight, left school and walked for 20 miles without realizing it. Decided to try and see what else I could do because nobody believed I walked 2 towns over by myself when I called for a ride. Started reading books on what makes someone healthy. One book talked about different tests to determine if someone is physically fit. Besides weight and all that, it talked about balance and flexibility. Things like touching your toes, being able to stand up from suddenly down on the ground without using hands, and other little thing like that. Took me a while to be able to touch my own toes, but with my daily walks I lost some of my gut and it got easier. Started doing yoga type stuff. Wasn't till I was in college I started trying splits. After 6 months of training I was able to. Lots of free drinks betting people you can do a split while you slur your words and look like a really unhealthy fat guy. I have a very well-developed musical ear. I can point out just about any detail you can ask about if I hear it, and I can replicate most songs I hear on the piano. Can't really brag about it since I feel like it just comes out sounding pretentious. Yes, I had a piano teacher who hated that I could do this, used to screech at me constantly to stop listening to the music and read it instead. Right there with you, I can read music, but I'm slow and my ability to play what's written drops off at a certain point. But, at the drop of a hat, I can make stuff up I can't replicate by reading. My piano teacher didn't hate it per se, but guilted me a lot for the dichotomy in skill set. For screeching, maybe, but being able to play from reading the music, regardless of how well developed your ear is or if you have perfect pitch, is still super important. It allows you to put your own interpretation of the piece, and not simply mimic a recording. While we don't know how old Loves_Spain was at the time, learning to read the music is even more important for children. Children with good ears who play without reading early on will usually end up suffering as they progress to more difficult and technically complex pieces. True prodigies are few and far between, so the importance of actually learning versus playing by ear is significant. Personally, I believe anyone with enough study and practice would be able to play like a master, but that there are some who will just have an easier time of it. It could be this teacher saw similar promise, and went about trying to correct it poorly. I'm right there with you, except for me it was that I was big into all that for about 2 years, and then I got really sick and just never went back to the gym for an entire year, and then when I did, 6 months and I broke my wrist and then never went back. 6 years later and I'm out of shape, so if weight training or dieting ever comes up, I don't look like someone who could back my knowledge up. Coaching and training are two completely things. You can be a magnificent coach but a horrible athlete. Look at Customato for boxing, Boris Shiiko for powerlifting, or Vince Lombardi and football. Point is, if you have knowledge, people will recognize the value in what you say. The example that comes to mind is when Pseudomonas ate my entire cornea off in 2018, which led to a corneal perforation and melting all within the span of 48 hours. When I was driven into the hospital at 3 in the morning, the head ophthalmologist told me that they couldn't guarantee it hadn't reached my brain. Death sentence, until they had done an MRI. So there I am, already blind and one-eyed at risk of a fatal brain infection. My response to the ophthalmologist: my brain? Dead? Ah, okay. That makes sense. I'll just be in the waiting room. Thanks. Hey, me too. I just casually beatbox alone around the house. In high school we were talking about rap or something and a guy sitting at my table said someone give me a beat and I knew it was my time to shine. I haven't shown off since though lol. Same here, minus the high school portion. I'll more often than not end up beatboxing while I'm getting ready for bed. Either that or I'll come up with a decent story idea that I end up spending 30 minutes writing down a short time later. I never have a watch on me and don't really look at my phone much. But I can always tell the exact time of day within about 5 minutes every single time. In all my years of people asking what time it is, not even my close friends have noticed that I can do it without looking at a phone/clock/watch. I just know it in my head. Other than that, I'm helplessly stupid. I'm permanently bound to my watch, so bad that when it broke, I actually had a little bit of anxiety from not being able to tell the time. The weight on my wrist was like a little hug all day, reminding me that if something ever goes wrong, I'll be able to set up to 4 alarms and dive up to 25 meters. I'm pretty good at making random edible things such as mozzarella cheese, apple butter, and chive blossom vinegar. I have some other kind of notable achievements, so if I'm ever introduced to others it's always about how I cycled across Canada or a few other things like that. I'm equally proud of my apple butter making though. Also my sense of direction. I can't remember ever being truly lost. I read this as you making random things from mozzarella cheese, apple butter, and chive blossom vinegar instead of like those things. I couldn't Google out how you could make one good recipe from those three combined, let alone many. I'm very good at imagining 3D objects with perfect details, which enabled me to draw them on paper perfectly. This is my last year at high school, and during this year one was at the top of my school in terms of mechanical-related subjects. Not only I was able to quickly understand any given blueprints with little to no effort at all, but I also helped my colleagues to understand them better by drawing them in 3D, like which they took home later. We have very little access to 3D modeling software in here since they are very expensive, and even we had one they probably dated to the Stone Ages. This is the reason my dream since I was a kid to become a mechanical engineer, since I had superb love for that subject, and with my skills, I'm pretty sure I'll be able to handle it perfectly. I was a lifeguard that responded to a bad car crash on a very busy road. To me, I was just doing my job, saving people. My boss and others thought I was deserving of valor, not like it was the first time I risked my life to save others. Every time you go to pull someone from the water, you do that. In high school I did color guard and winter guard, which is essentially dance mixed with equipment work. It's quite a bit of fun, and, though I'm no dancer, I was always pretty good with the flag and rifle in particular. I recently acquired a rifle again, and to my surprise the muscle memory is pretty much still there. I'm no professional, but I can still do some pretty impressive tosses. Cleaning. I'm so good. I started my own home cleaning business. I'm a one-man show, and in almost 5 years, have never needed to advertise. All of my clients have come to me by word of mouth. I'm currently off due to a hand injury that is looking like it'll need surgery to fix, and today, actually, one of my clients texted me to let me know she hired a different cleaning company temporarily while I'm out. She said well read it for yourself. https://imgur.com/a/9p3hdvf. I have done a fair amount of disaster relief work. I've held people and cried with them as they told me of their lost family members, their destroyed homes, and being able to compartmentalize that and lead groups of volunteers to build shelters. I've dealt with corrupt politicians, dangerous gangs, almost died in an earthquake, and been about to keep going when it was so hard. My body hurt so much, and I was so emotionally drained. I've had my moments. I'm currently depressed and in a very dark spot, but damn it, I've helped this world. I've helped people who were sleeping in the dirt to get under better shelter. I've helped a baby whose mother was crushed in an earthquake get formula when no women were lactating in her village. I've played with children in a refugee camp and given my heart fully. Fuck. I'm in a bad place right now, but I've done some things that helped. I hope, anyway. I stopped binge eating. Everyone always tells me, oh, I binge eat all the time. Like, no dude, I felt like I couldn't stop. I just kept eating and crying at myself trying to stop. I had normal breakfast, lunch and dinner, then got 6 nuggets, large chips, 2 burgers, 2 sundaes and 2 drinks in between lunch and dinner, hiding it from my husband every day for a year. I'm 5'0" female, so that alone was too much for someone my size. I doubled my size obviously and hated my life. Everyone thinks they understand binge eating but they don't. I felt out of control, like I couldn't stop myself. I realized I could control my own limbs and learned over months to stop. I feel like I can't brag about stopping because people don't realize how bad it was, and they always tell me that it's fun. They binge every now and then. It makes my massive feet feel a bit diminished. Excellent sense of direction and phenomenal at parallel parking almost any vehicle. People in my car and on the street alike have reacted with incredulity at my parking in the past. The combination of the two make me the usual driver, which I will never complain about. I love driving and going on trips. I could drive for hours without needing a stop, and can usually find my way around without GPS. I am a musician, but I talk about it non-stop. Well, I can mix drinks really well and have a great sense of what would go great in a cocktail since I was 14 because my mother used to own a restaurant and bar. I'm 18 now and make good stuff for my parents. I'm also well versed in French and Northern Italian cooking and can make amazing dishes. It comes from the fact that my father is a good cook and my aunt is a professional chef and will own her own gourmet pasta restaurant in a year. I never take credit for being an excellent homemaker. Now, to be fair, I only work PT, so I do have more time on my hands than the average person, but still, I keep a spotless, lovingly decorated home and I love to cook a good meal for visitors. Not too many people enjoy or are good at homemaking these days. It's a lost art, if I do say so myself. I'm really good at my job as a retail worker at a very large department grocery store. I've memorized a good portion of the store, and know enough about the toy department to answer even the most obscure questions. Last week I helped find a toy that repeats what you say in a toy about catching bugs. Sounds harder than it seems. Most importantly, I take time to make sure each customer feels valued. I answer questions in detail, walk guests to products when I know it's in a hard-to-find spot, and go out of my way to find solutions for problems. I also play peekaboo to stop babies from crying. It's my superpower. But because retail is a low-effort minimum-wage job, it doesn't seem impressive to most people. Sex. I'm aware about the tell me what you brag about, I'll tell you what you do poorly philosophy. But in fact, in 2013 I met the girl that was out of my league. I had been depressed before, and I'm an athletic person. The lift of my depression and her beauty inspired me to become better at something I never thought I'd be able to get good at. She used to have mind-blowing multiple orgasms, and I felt like a very accomplished lover. That was it. It was only with her. And since then, I advocate good chemistry as the foundation of a good sexual performing from any participant. This question is literally a top comment of what question would you ask to get someone know better. Anyways, I'm mediocre in lot of skills, be it cooking, piano skills, guitar, exercise and body knowledge, taxes filing, skating, taekwondo, and I'm not afraid to try new things. I feel proud about this because every day I meet up people who are just too afraid to try new things which would certainly improve their lives. Also, I get to be the problem solver for many friends. I like that. My next goal is chess. But damn, I'm not so good at thinking ahead. I just don't have the patience. Maybe that should be my next goal, developing attention span and patience. The question was good at but don't get to brag about much. Not good at but are proud of. So please keep that in mind. I am very good at making someone think that they are responsible for an idea that I am actually responsible for. I'm a master manipulator. I learned this skill as the youngest child in an extremely dysfunctional family of 7. Like I said, I'm not proud of this skill, and I don't get to brag about it anymore, because I very rarely use it anymore, except on complete bags. Reddit. I've accumulated over 3 million karma, 50 years of Reddit gold, and around 1,000 Reddit awards through the years on various accounts. On Reddit, I'm cool, funny, and interesting, but in real life I'm nobody and a loser. Actually, on this account, I'm basically just myself in real life. This is my account for all of the sad stuff I deal with. Despite that, it's probably my favorite account of mine. This is the account where I get to be who I really am and be the most honest about myself, anonymously, with others. I'm really good at getting a read on people when I first meet them, like, freaky good. On the flip side, I'm also very good at making it difficult for others to get a read on me, and not in an obvious way. I'm not changing much, if anything, about my behavior. I kind of just turn it on and off like a switch. Hard to brag about though. Most people think you're lying if you do say anything about it.